Okay, let's look at the 5 essential 7th chords for this tune, Ask Me Now. This is a monk tune written in 1951, I think. This is a 32-bar AABA tune. You can find it in the Hal Leonard Real Book Volume 2. It's a really good tune to help you learn your chords because there's a lot of chords in this tune, especially the first two measures, one chord on every beat. So let's go ahead and get started. First chord, G minor 7. That's a G major scale. I know that if I play 1, 3, 5, and 7 of that, I'm going to get a major 7. I need a minor 7, so I lower the 7th, lower the 3rd, and there's my G minor 7 chord. C dominant 7th is the second chord. Easiest scale ever, all white notes, 1, 3, 5, and 7 is major 7. To get dominant, I just lower the 7th. F sharp minor 7 is the third chord. A lot of people don't like this scale. It's pretty easy. Falls under your fingers really well, only 2 white notes. 1, 3, 5, and 7 is major 7. Lower the 7th to get dominant, lower the 3rd to get minor 7. And there is F sharp minor 7. B dominant 7th is the next chord. Once again, another scale people don't like, but it's not that bad. 1, 3, 5, and 7 gives you major 7, and there's dominant 7th. F minor 7. Major scale, F major scale, 1, 3, 5, and 7 gives me F major 7. I need minor 7, so I lower the 7th, I get dominant, lower the 3rd, I get minor 7. B flat, dominant 7th, B flat major scale, 2 flats. 1, 3, 5, and 7 is major 7, and there's my B flat dominant 7th chord. E minor 7. 4 sharps in that scale. Here's my E major 7 chord. Lower the 7th to get E dominant 7th, and lower the 3rd to get the minor 7 chord. Notice this is all white notes. That is something that you can use to remember this chord by. Remember, what we're trying to do here is trying to memorize these chords. The drill is really just a way to arrive at the chord. You really want to memorize these chords. You want to be able to look at the chords and go immediately to the notes. That's really what the goal here is. So when you start being aware of the patterns of white and black notes, and all white being the most easiest to identify, that's how you're going to get a handle on these chords. So E minor 7, all white. A dominant 7th. A major scale, all 3 sharps. A major 7, A dominant 7th, lower the flat, lower the 7th. And there's my... We haven't repeated a chord yet. That's why this tune is so good to use to learn your chords. E flat minor 7. E flat major scale, 3 flats. There's my E flat major 7, there's dominant 7th, and there's minor 7. So once again, all black here, easy one to remember. And especially since E minor 7 is all white, you can take those 2 right off the list. They can be easily memorized. A flat dominant 7th, 4 flats in the A flat major scale. 1, 3, 5, and 7 gives me major 7, and there's dominant 7th. B dominant 7th. We've seen this chord before. This one has a sharp 11 in the chord symbol, which often indicates the melody note. It's a way to reconcile what the melody note is. I can't remember what the melody note is. I'm guessing that it's a sharp 11. Remember, we're just talking about the lower structure chords here, the chord tones, 1, 3, 5, and 7. We're not interested in the upper structure, anything above 8, the octave. 9s, 11s, and 13s, we don't want to deal with that right now. We're just focusing on the lower structure, so we're going to ignore that. Sharp 11, B major scale, B major 7, lower the 7th, and there's my B dominant 7th. We've seen that chord the second time so far in this tune. Look at that pattern of notes, white with 2 blacks in the middle, white on the end. B flat dominant 7th, we've seen this one before. 1, 3, 5, and 7 of that 2 flat major scale. Major 7, dominant 7th. So there's something to think about. B major 7 has 2 blacks in the middle. B flat dominant 7th has 2 whites in the middle. These are all little details that you can use to help memorize these chords. E flat dominant 7th, 3 flats on the E flat major scale. There's major 7, there's dominant 7th. D dominant 7th is the next chord. Now check this out, same chord quality that I'm on right now. I'm on E flat dominant 7th, D dominant 7th, same chord quality, half step below. I can easily just boom everything down half step. I could go through the drill 1, 3, 5, and 7 to get to the chord that way too, to check myself. D flat major 7, half step below where I am now, but it's a different chord quality, so I can't drop everything down to half step. I'm going to use the drill. D flat major 7, another scale that people don't like. It fits under the hand, possibly the best of any major scale. 2 white notes, everything else is black. D flat major 7. And there it is. I don't have to do anything to it. 1, 3, 5, and 7 of the major scale. E flat dominant 7th. This is the second time we've seen this chord. That's major 7, there's dominant 7th. E flat minor 7 is my next chord. I know from the drill that to get to minor 7 from dominant 7th, all I have to do is lower the 3rd. And it's all black notes. That's my all black note chord. A flat dominant 7th, 4 flats in this major scale. 1, 3, 5, and 7 is major 7. There's my dominant, A flat dominant 7th. My next chord is also dominant 7th. It's a minor 3rd above from where I am. So I could use that trick before of just jumping up a minor 3rd, but a minor 3rd is kind of a big interval. That works best when, you're just talking a half step in either direction. So I'm going to just use my drill to find the B dominant 7th chord, and there it is. But now, all of these 3 chords are all half step away. I can just drop down a half step on each one of them. I could also do my drill, B flat major scale. There's my B flat dominant 7th. A major scale, 3 sharps. A flat dominant 7th. Sorry, A dominant 7th. Next one is A flat dominant 7th, 4 flats in this scale, and there's A flat dominant 7th. This tune is a 32 bar AABA. That's the first A. Second A is identical to this, except for the last measure has a D flat major 7. And there's my D flat major 7, just 1, 3, 5, and 7 of D flat major scale. Okay, bridge of Ask Me Now. Many fewer chords here. Really just a 2, 5, 1 in D flat and a 2 sub 5 of 1 in D flat. Starts with E flat minor 7. Now I know from my A section, E flat minor 7, all black. I can use my drill to figure it out. Major 7, dominant 7th, minor 7. A flat dominant 7th, A flat major scale, 4 flats there. There's my A flat dominant 7th. D flat major 7th, we've seen this 3 times already. D flat major scale. And there is the chord. I don't have to do anything to 1, 3, 5, and 7 in the major scale. Another tip is if you can visualize the major scale in your head away from the piano, that's also a really good way to help you learn these chords. If you can use time away from the piano, commuting, whatever it is, and you can go through a lead sheet and visualize what the major scales are, visualize 1, 3, 5, and 7 of that, manipulate the notes from there to arrive at what chord you need. That is a very powerful way to learn these chords in your head. And that goes a long way towards lots of other things down the road in terms of improvisation, in terms of talking about tensions, transposition. Really useful technique that is worth developing. Can be hard at first, but it's really worth working on. Next chord, E flat minor 7. There's our all black chord, D dominant 7th. Next chord, D major scale. Remember, we're not going to worry about that sharp 11. That's a tension. We're dealing with 1, 3, 5, and 7 chord tones right now. D flat major 7. We're going to learn this chord yet with this tune. 1, 3, 5, and 7 to D flat major 7. Also E flat dominant 7th. We've seen this a bunch of times. E flat dominant 7th, and then again E flat minor 7, A flat dominant 7th, there's A flat dominant 7th, G flat dominant 7th, the sharp 11, G flat major scale, 1, 3, 5, and 7 is major 7. Here's my dominant 7th, and once again we're not going to worry about tensions yet. Last A, just review the A section, the chapter before, identical to the A section, the second A section with the D flat major as the last chord. Okay, take this tune and play these chords on your own. The practice sessions have the lead sheet that you can download. Better if you have a real book that you can access the lead sheet with. This is from Hal Leonard Volume 2. Play the tune 2 or 3 times, no more than 2 or 3 times, and then move on to another tune. Remember, the goal here is to memorize these chords so that you see the chord symbol and you know the notes to play. This is not an endpoint, these 5 essential 7th chords. This is really just the start of your jazz journey. You want to learn these, memorize these, get them in your head and hands, and then the real fun begins when you can move on after these are deeply in your brain. You can try playing this tune with the melody, play the chords with the left hand. Use the backing track that I've included with this. You can push the tempo to really force yourself to get these chords memorized. Most importantly, challenge yourself with new material. Play this 2 or 3 times and then move on to a new tune. If you're feeling like you're really getting these 5 essential 7th chords and you're looking at the chord symbol and you're able to play the chords without a lot of using the drill, you want to move on to the next step, voice leading these chords or rootless voicings with added tension. Have fun with it, enjoy the journey.